It's been a gloriously gentle and slow holiday season for me, which is a bit new. It's usually quite a hectic time, but I've just been in deep rest. It's been lovely, really lovely. What about you?
That's nice. Uh, that yeah, it was pretty smooth sailing. You know,
Oh, I've close-upped myself.
I
I don't know what I was doing. That's so funny. Sorry.
it's okay.
Answer your question.
It's not a bad look. You know, it's you'll have to let me know if you want me to keep it in.
Please. It's part of my brand. I'm an
That's what
absolute
it is. That's what this is for. This is the now people know this is the vibration, right? This
totally part of my vibration.
awesome. My holidays were good. I no complaints. You know, I'm at that point in the journey where my triggers are my teachers. So whenever I notice my own disturbances within me, I see it as opportunities to deepen my presence and to learn about what I'm holding on to that's blocking me from realizing the light that I am. So, so yeah.
Juicy stuff. And that's when the holidays you can turn like a chaotic season into like this deep season of introspection and awakening, where before it was just filled with reaction patterns and like you know?
Yeah, exactly. But yes, glad that we got through it. We're into 2024, whatever that means, and we're on to another now. So here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah. And welcome here. Thank you for joining us. I'm really excited to just dive into you and everything about what you do, your offerings, why you do it, how you got on this path. I know that you've personally been building your own community, brand, and have cultivated such a lovely space for us all to be a part of. So I want to just talk about all of that stuff and let this conversation be guided by our heart and wherever it leads us, and use it as an opportunity just for Awakenpedia, but everyone else here to get to know you and get a sense of what it'd be like to work with you, to have a session with you, to join your community. So we'll get into all of that.
Sounds juicy. I'm here for it.
All right. So why don't we kick it off by you sharing a bit about your story, if you don't mind. I like starting there because it gives nice context to how ultimately all of those little nows led to the here and now of this very moment. So can you tell us a bit about your background and how it led you to Gene Keys and the work you do?
Absolutely. I feel like every time that I share my story, it comes out different because it's so multifaceted, right? And so we'll see which bits want to come out today. I used to be a full-time primary school teacher, and I thought that was my path. I thought that that's what I would do for, the next 40 years of my life, and I was very ambitious, and I thought that I was living the dream, right? Like I thought that I fully had my life together. I thought that I knew who I was. I thought that I was super grounded, and I thought that I loved myself. And what I came to find was that was radically untrue. And my pathway into myself, Cam, was chronic illness. So when I was in my early 20s, I started getting a bit unwell. But by the time I was 25, I was just unable to do life anymore. I had to quit my job as a teacher, and I was bedridden for most of that year. And what that experience revealed in me was that I actually had no idea who I was. It revealed to me that my entire identity and all of my worth and value was based upon all of the external things, based upon my looks and my career and my achievements and my relationships and my energy. That was a huge one. And so when I found myself without any energy and without any of those things, I felt like a complete shell of a human, and I felt like I was a waste of space. And I wasn't only then suffering with really severe health issues, but then my mental health fell apart. I was an anxious mess because I was completely lost. And that was a very, very difficult season of my life. And I still journey chronic illness even now. But back then, it became my entry point where I said to myself, well, I need to find out who I am, because I'm not going to make it through this unless I find me. I'm not going to make it through this unless I find that love within myself. And so that sent me off on this journey. I had no idea what I was doing, Cam. No idea. All I knew was that I had to put pen to paper. Something in me just kept saying, Hayley, you need to write. Hayley, you need to write. And so that's what I did. I got a journal and I got a pen and I started writing, and I just committed to showing up for 5 minutes a day because that's all the energy I had at that point. And what began as this small 5-minute commitment turned into me writing my way home to myself, turned into me writing my way back to the truths around worth and life. And so I went on that journey was many years. And it was about 6 years into my deep inner work and journaling. And at this point, I'd already started a business all around journaling. I used to be called Soulful Journaling. I rebranded last year to The Journey Home. And I was I was loving showing other people how to write their way home to themselves. And then the Gene Keys came into my life. And I believe the Gene Keys definitely find you, and boy, oh boy, did they find me. And the moment that Gene Keys book arrived on my doorstep, I opened it up, I read the first paragraph, and I just started crying. It was such a spiritual experience. It felt like Richard Rudd, the author, was putting into words the journey that I had been on, and that he was opening up for me a way that I could go even deeper into that. And so then I went on a deep journey with the Gene Keys, and it was just putting into language what I was already finding to be true about myself. And I just knew this is where I'm going to devote my life to. I'm going to devote my life to this transmission. And I could see how it was that piece, that transmission that I could utilize to help other people take the journey that I'd taken. And so it was a couple of years of really deeply digging into that. And now I get to combine my two loves. I combine the journaling and the inner work and even my skills in teaching and all that sort of stuff with my love for the Gene Keys to take people on these deep transformational inner journeys back home to themselves.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. It's I'm not usually at a loss of words, but I relate, and this is when we first connected, what helped me to resonate so deeply with you, because journaling was my main modality, let's call it that, for my own healing, to lead myself back home too. So it's a really intimate connection I have with journaling as a healing modality and using it intentionally, and how powerful it is, and how it can serve you. So I just want to affirm you and your journey, which of course is implied, but in this context of just how powerful I can feel your transformation, because I know it firsthand as well, and I know what that feels like and sounds like when you share that, right? So the fact that you've been able to create some type of customized Gene Keys journaling blend is just amazing. And I'd love for you to share more about what that really looks like, if you can, in terms of the offerings you now provide, and what that means. Is the journaling's part of the Gene Key sessions? Is it, how do you kind of weave this all together to create an offering?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I weave it completely differently for each individual, because depending on where somebody's at when they come into my world. Some of the women that I work with have been doing inner work for 25, 30 years. And some women, they're fresh. This is their first experience of inner work. So for everyone, like those two women and everyone in between, it's going to look a bit different. But some of the key elements of how I weave that is if I'm working with someone just with the gene keys, for example, because I do have certain parts of what I do that gene keys aren't a part of it, but my main thing is gene keys. So they would come into a session with me and I would, hear all about their life, where they're at. I would look at their gene key profile and we dive deep into their first gene key, their life's work, where I really unpack that with them and what this shadow looks like and how this shadow is actually your invitation into your genius, how this shadow is your invitation into your greatness. Because this is one of the beautiful things about the gene keys. It doesn't just tell you, oh, here's what's wrong with you, go fix it. It's saying, here's everything that is glorious about you. And this challenge that you're facing isn't bad. It's the seed of your magic. And so I really peel back for that person what that looks like and how it could be showing up in their life. And then also then I peel back the gift. I'm like, this is where it's wanting to take you. And we converse around that and we dive really deep. And there's so many like mind blow moments in that. But then I incorporate in, I write my clients like a book of them. And I have all of the gene keys, my interpretation of the gene key, and it's all followed up with then questions to contemplate. So one of my real giftings is asking questions, is being able to see a concept and then ask this laser point question that just cuts through the bullshit and just gets like, whoa, to really help people to reveal their own wisdom, right? I'm not here to teach anyone anything new. I'm here to help them unlock what already lays within them. And so I ask all of these questions that they can sit with their journal if that's what they would like. So I pose them as prompts. For those who journal, they can sit with that. But then a lot of my clients that might not be journalers, they'll just sit and contemplate. There's one of my clients, she comment right now. Yes, you do, Hayley. Oh, beautiful Trina. She's in a 1-to-1 4-month container with me at the moment. And so they can sit and just contemplate that. It's like Trina, she'll contemplate it while she's driving her 3-hour commute to work that she does every 2 weeks, but then she might sit with it in her journal. And then they will come back with their answers of what they found from that question, and then I'll mirror back in even deeper, like, okay, now have you thought about this? And then we take it deeper and deeper, and I just keep asking questions, which keep revealing more magic. I see questions as portals into your truest nature. They're these portals into the depths of you, which you know all about this, Cam. Like when you described your story to me when we first met, I was like, is this guy me? Even the language you use, I was like, I swear I've written that somewhere, like exactly what you said. So yeah, that's sort of the weaving. And then I do that by, I weave it with so much light, lightheartedness in the darkness, because shadow work can be a very confronting place. It's very uncomfortable. We're looking at some of those wounds and traumas that we've held like in the cupboard for decades. And so that's not super comfortable. But I bring this essence to the work where I will always bring humor, not where I laugh at your shit, but I'll get you to laugh about it. And I'll bring like this joy. I see journeying home to ourselves not as this scary walk, but we're all just out. It's like inner children. We're these 6-7-year-old kids with backpacks on and maps. And we've got our shovels and we're ready to go dig for treasure. Like it is fun. And I really, I weave that into all of it too, so that it doesn't become heavy, even though it is heavy,
Yeah. And you brought up something that I wanted to kind of ask you about, to dig into a bit more in terms of what the journey home means to you. And you just started kind of breaking that down for me. But that's an expression that's often used, right, in the awakening journey, the healing journey. But how everyone sees it exactly, that's kind of an expression of your own unique energetic signature. So I'd love for you to just share for everyone what the journey home means to you. What is the journey and what is home?
Oh, what a brilliant question. I believe that home is it's so multifaceted again. I think that one element of our home is our unity. So part of our home is where we feel reconnected to everyone. That is such a core part of our home. Another aspect is when we're reconnected to nature and we're reconnected to the divine. That's another sense of home. And then when we're reconnected to ourselves and our soul, and sometimes they come in a different order for different people. But really, to come home is to fully remember who you are, because something about this life and something about being human is that we forget, right? We forget, and even when we're on this journey, we forget. We'll have this huge breakthrough, and we're like, "Oh my God!" and then we'll forget that breakthrough. And like we're on this journey of remembering. And the thing about home is that you could not be separated from your home even if you tried to. You couldn't be separated from nature if you tried to, or from other people, or from yourself. We are just under the illusion that we are separate. And so it's less about like journeying back home where you have to walk through all of this shit to get there, but more just about recognizing that it's an illusion that you ever thought you were lost in the first place.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't be lost even if you tried to. And so the journey home is about those little pieces of remembering. And the more that you remember that, the more the veil starts to lift, and the more you recognize that that bright, shining light within you that you were born with, it never dimmed. We think that it's dimmed and we need to brighten it back up. It's just covered in stuff. So like your home, it's covered in all of these vines, and you're looking straight at it, but you can't see it. But you're there. You're in the bloody living room having a cup of tea, but you don't realize that you are.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's really the journey. And for everyone, those pieces that we have to peel back to see that bright light, to see that home within, they're a combination of your own life's experiences and the things that you've been through in your childhood, teen years, adulthood, but then they're also pieces of your ancestral DNA, so things that you're peeling back from your parents and your grandparents and so on. And then you have your piece of the collective karma. You have your piece of the collective suffering. And so it's really about owning your piece, not blaming anyone else or anything else for your piece, but embracing your own suffering. So a big part of recognizing that home within is recognizing that your suffering is grace, and that your suffering is the doorway. And as we just allow it, accept it, and embrace that suffering, it will, the ashes of that turn into just the flower of who you are. And that's the navigation. And you know, this is why bringing light to that journey, I think, is so important. Otherwise we can sort of be like, no, it's too hard, I'm not taking it, I'll just stay here. And that is the biggest travesty, when we don't take that inner journey back home.
Mm-hmm. You're leaving. You got me speechless again, because I mean, you just said so many things that I would love to dive into. We'll have to do a podcast sometime or something. I think that's what it is.
I'll have to have you on my podcast too, Cam, because I would love to have a man's voice come in to talk about this work. I would absolutely love that. We'll have to arrange.
Yeah, we'll arrange that, and that'll be fun. But I mean, the way you describe the journey home, what home is, and the journey to get there, which is that paradoxical nature of realizing that the destination is the journey, and access through the here and now, right? So it's like you're lost when you're trying to get there, because you're under the illusion that there exists, but in truth, there is just here. When there is no there, right? It's always here and now. And so that's why the light is never lost. You can't lose what you are. It gets covered up. And right, so we're just seeing through the veil
Mm.
of those clouds that make it seem as if the light is gone.
Mm.
But in truth, how could we lose ourselves? So it's that journey of remembrance, which is about waking up, remembering the truth of who we are, and you're just shedding the forgetfulness. You know, you're just letting go of all of the things that are causing you to think you're separate. And instead, you know, when you are home, that isn't another way, perhaps saying you realize that you realize that you're one, and you always have been with everything and everyone. We're just, it's one being, many humans, one being. That's Eckhart Tolle said that. But anyway, so yeah, I just like, I line so deeply with how you speak to this journey, how you speak to the journey home and what that means, and the process in which we actually arrive here and now. So anyway, I just want to affirm you again here, because you're speaking truth, and it's beautiful to witness and to hear. So
Thank
can you talk now a bit about your containers specifically, in terms of various containers you offer? I know you do, like, I believe some one-on-one work, and you have a lot of stuff going on. So I'd love for you to break it down in terms of what it is you offer, the various things.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess like the different things that I offer, different experiences along that journey home, and whatever resonates with that person at that time can be that fit. So, I mean, my Instagram page I see is actually one of my containers, and it's completely free. I love to bring so much value to my Instagram page. I'm doing a series at the moment on the 64 gene keys, where I'm pulling back the veil on one gene key per day. And then I also have a series right now of a journaling prompt day. So like every day for the next 60 days, everyone's going to get an introspective question and information about a gene key, which I just love showing up on Instagram in that way. But then I have my membership, which is this beautiful place. It's called the Journey Home, and it's a women's membership, and it's just one giant invitation inward. And it's women come there for the content, because there is these incredible courses, like in-depth course material that you can dig through. We do women's circles once a month. We do master classes. We do gene keys, study groups. We do so much. There's yoga in there. There's heaps in there. The women come for the content so they can dig in. But then when they get there, they realize, oh my gosh, the content is amazing, but the community is, right? So it's a place that is connecting you back with yourself, but also reminding you that you're connected to everyone. And the big reason behind my membership is that doing the inner work can be a really lonely road. It's so introspective. It's you and your contemplation in your heart or your pen on the paper, and you can feel like it's isolating you. And so I wanted to create a community of women who are on that journey together. So you realize, you look around and you go, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. I'm not alone at all. And, you know, the women, we've got this section called Your Story Matters inside the membership, where women actually share their journal entries or they share their breakthroughs. And just to get to hear from another woman who is recognizing that, because when she has that breakthrough, another woman's like, oh my God, now you've unlocked something in me. So we're all the key to each other's lock, you know? And so I have that space, and it has gene keys experiences, but there's more that's not gene keys than is gene keys. And then I have my one-to-one experiences. So people can do one-off sessions with me for their gene keys, where it's just me and them for 2 hours. We dive into their profile, and then we do a deep dive on whichever gene key that they're up to on their journey. And then that comes with all of the prompts and all of that stuff. And then I have my more, my deeper journey, which is they do that, but on a 4-month basis. We do your full 4 prime gifts, and then it comes with one-on-one Voxer coaching every day and extra Zoom calls. And it's like It's the whole deal. And then I run group ones. So like at the moment, I have a group of 10 women who are doing that 4 months, but together, which is slightly different from the one-to-one experience. And so, yeah, I've always got something on the go, Cam. I just follow my inspiration of whatever drops in. I'm like, I will do it. And we have a blast while we do it.
Yeah. And that's the most true way to do it, isn't it? In terms of just letting yourself be guided from the unknown, never knowing like what really is going to come out of it, because how can you, right? When you're living and creating from that rendered state, you're just being that vessel through which the divine genius expresses itself into this 3D world. And that's how I feel like that I can understand and relate to that as well, in terms of how Awakenpedia has come about, and the teachings, and how, you know, how Awakenpedia is evolving. I'm just like you in that way, kind of here, ready to be used as a
You're just there when it happens, right?
You know?
It's like, I just happened to be there when it happened, and you just
right. Yeah, it's just like you're ready. You're, I guess, meeting it with the willingness to receive and to co-create and participate, but you're not imposing your will on it. And that's where I see it as being fundamentally different from ego creations. I'm going to build this empire, but instead it's like, no, like, we don't own anything. Nothing is, there is no ownership, but we're being, you know, we're creating and bringing the formless into form, and it's magical. And
which can be a hard thing to do, right? Like, to get to that place, and in being a vessel like that, like you're describing, I think is one of the biggest birthplaces of our own transformation, because you've got no choice.
Oh yeah.
But to have all of this stuff keep peeling back. Like, I really see the way that I show up personally, it's deconstructing worlds, deconstructing, you know, we're up against a world that is past its expiry date, yet it's being grasped onto. And so to show up within that world, especially somewhere like Instagram, where like every single thing you see is not where we're wanting to be heading, it can be difficult to stay centered and grounded in that. And that's where that remembering is so important, because you and I will forget just as much as the next person, but we probably, the thing about our lifestyle that we live is that we've set up our life to help us remember more often, right?
Yeah.
Because we all forget.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And this journey is one of just ultimately shifting the proportion of time that you spend in a forgetful state versus a remembrant state, into what ultimately will become a continuous state of remembrance, which is what we describe as the enlightened, fully enlightened state, fully awakened. And that's the funny part about this, which is like, we all tend to have glimpses of awakening without even knowing it, which is just to say, like, we're seeing clearly, we're seeing from beyond the mind, we're seeing as it truly is, right? And then we forget again, we go back to sleep. And so what we're doing here, how we're helping people ultimately, is there's just one teaching, there's one healing, and it's bringing us back home to the one home.
You know, I love forgetting, because I love when I get to remember. Like I often say this, I'm like, I think we forget as humans so that we get to experience the pure joy of remembering. And I think each time I forget, I pick up another piece of what I was meant to remember to bring back out. And so I think part of our service is actually our forgetting, just like part of our service is our suffering. And so every time that I sort of enter back in through that challenge or that suffering, I return with a new piece of love that can be brought back as service. And so, like, I love to forget. You know, because I trust myself that I'm going to remember. So even when I'm in my forgetting, I'm like, I'm okay, I'm safe. Because I'm going to emerge, and it's going to be beautiful. And so, yeah, like, even this awakened state, which I know we're moving towards as a collective, me in this lifetime now, I don't want to be in an awakened state 100% of the time, because if I was, my service wouldn't be what it's meant to be, because I'm meant to be in and out, you know. It makes what I do so much more potent at this time, so that we can move towards the time that's coming.
Yes. Yep. I'm with you. I see that, I feel that, and it's like, because the forgetful times, the states of forgetfulness, the states of deep suffering, that's the growing pains, right? That's where, that's, as you said, the seed of what was the expression? Seed of magic, was it? Seed of
Your genius, I think, probably.
Yeah. Well, it all is the same, right? Which is to say, that's where the seed of your growth is planted, and so there's incredible, all of the value is in the suffering and in those times of forgetfulness. That's why we feel that intuitive pull for, valuing them.
Which is what the gene keys is all about, and that's why I love them, because each of the 64 gene keys, it begins with the shadow state. And I think that in a work, sometimes we think that shadow state is what we need to fix, what we need to get rid of. But when you see that it's the seed, if you get rid of the seed, you've got a barren land. So we're not trying to get rid of the shadow. We're wanting to take those shadows, which I always describe like most people are walking around with the seeds. We all walk around with our shadows, but you've got them in your pocket. And so you've just got seeds. And it can be really frustrating to just have seeds. So this work is about taking that seed, planting it in the fertile soil of your own heart and soul, and then loving on it with water and nourishment and light, and bringing attention and awareness to it. When we've got the seed in our pockets, out of sight, out of mind, we think that we're avoiding our biggest pain, but all we're avoiding is our greatest gifts. We're avoiding the harvest, which we so desire. And so when we actually start bringing our attention and our love and our work to those shadows, and we embrace them, we're like, I can love myself right here. That's when the seed cracks open and it grows your magic. And that's why we have such an ache as humans, because we're just walking around with all these seeds in our pockets, It's about planting that thing and then holding space around it as well. Because some of us then do shadow work and we plant it, but there's no space around it. And so if you imagine a seed that's planted, but it's encased in a harder coating, it's trying to sprout, but it can't. And so we need to create space around it where we allow that shadow, we accept ourselves for who we are, and then it can grow. So there's and the gene keys is just your personal roadmap into doing that. Which seeds? Because you have 64 seeds in your pocket, but it tells you which one to plant first, and then this one, and then this one, which allows you then to reap your harvest and grow your beautiful inner garden. And we're growing trees that the next generation gets to sit and take shade under, and gets to bear fruit from. It's so much more than just work for you. It may seem selfish sometimes to do all this inner work, but it's actually the most selfless thing you can do, because it's your piece. It's your contribution to the collective is you. Yeah. And so it is your highest service that you can offer.
Yeah. Yeah, Hayley, amazing. You speak to this so eloquently. It's such a, it's just, I love that analogy of the seed, of needing to plant it, and just carrying it around. Yeah, that's the frustrating part, when it's like, and I felt that in what I now call my former life of when I was in finance, but it's like, I knew that there was something deeper to existence. I knew that there was something more to be explored. And I was suffering and frustrated and living in a state of continuous cognitive dissonance, because I wasn't giving myself permission to actually plant the seed, to love the seed, to explore what could come from that seed itself. But I was aware that some seed was there. So just a beautiful analogy. Well, look, I'm running out of daylight here, so it's slowly becoming a little more ominous on my side. But I'd like to wrap this up by asking you to share some piece of wisdom, guidance, whatever you feel guided right now to share with the world for those fellow pilgrims on this pilgrimage, on the journey home, you know, I don't know. I know it's a vague question, but it's purposefully vague in the sense of just letting you be inspired to share whatever comes to heart in this moment.
Yeah, I definitely have this one thing that's been so on my heart this week, and that is that any problem that you're facing in your life, any challenge, any issue in your life, whether inner, outer, every single one of them can be solved by more self-love. Like every single one of your problems, the answer is more self-love. And then the purest form of self-love is self-honesty. Like that is the purest form of love you can give yourself, is self-honesty, which we often don't associate with love. We associate self-love with like face masks and chocolate, and that's just all bullshit, smoke and mirrors. Like that ain't self-love. It can be if it's done in honesty, but getting honest with oneself, like I'm feeling my whole solar plexus is like burning up right now. Entering into yourself with that self-honesty rooted in love, that will solve every single one of your challenges from now until the day that you die. And so the answer is always just, how can I love myself more? How can I be more honest with myself? And you will always find your way.
Yeah. So true. Beautiful too. Thank you, Hayley. Thank you for being here, for being a part of the community, joining us on this journey home, making it a collective thing that I know you've already been doing and serving, and now we get to even do it together and serve collectively in that way. It's just, it warms my heart to be able to bring so many like-hearted people together who are on this path, aware of the path, aware what it means to really heal, to look at healing at the root level, not treating symptoms and putting band-aids on the ego infection, but actually letting ourselves, face the inner work and that inner journey with a bit of levity, right? And a bit of light, which is so necessary because, as you mentioned, it is a very otherwise scary, can be lonely voyage. And coming together as one, bringing light into this, normalizing these conversations, I just think it's so important, and it's ushering us into the next era of being human,
Totally. And I'm so happy to get to, work alongside you in whatever that looks like, because I mean, we are absolutely on the same fractal. That is for sure. Like there is just no doubt. I feel like, we even look a little bit similar. It's weird.
Well, if I keep growing my hair out,
I mean, and if I grew a beard, I mean, we'd be pretty spot on.
You grow the beard, I'll keep growing my hair, and then we'll meet in the middle.
That's good. Well, thank you so much. I loved this conversation, and I'm looking forward to more conversations with you, Cam.
Yeah.
I need to do your gene keys.
Yes, I know. We have lots to do.
I said that I would do that for you. I will absolutely get in touch.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah. We'll be in touch soon. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.